On this episode of Mad Ginger Customs, we're gonna take a bike that's been off the road for 41 years and try to make it run and try to make it ride. Let's go. I drove down to my father-in-law's house and this came home with us. This is a 1975 Goldwing Honda GL1000. He bought this new in 76. I got the title. It was a leftover. He bought it brand new and it hasn't run in over 30 years. I mean, that should be fine, right? So I do know that the motor turns over because it has a Kickstarter. And what he did was, because he's smart, he would take the plugs out and he would put Marvel Mystery Oil in the cylinders, you know, every once in a while, every few years. And then he would rotate it. So he knew that the engine would turn. Now, it's been sitting, there's a puddle of antifreeze underneath it. I don't know if that's a hose or maybe a water pump. The gas tank has a bunch of rust. We'll throw some brake hoses on it. You know, maybe a master cylinder. I don't know what it's gonna need as far as that goes. And absolutely some new tires because these things are all dry rotted. But overall, everything's here. Factory seat, aftermarket, nice seat, right? Here's the fender. He started taking this apart because this entire caliper was seized. Like the front and the back were completely seized. He's got some little side bags for it, some panniers for it. He's done a couple extra things. He's got an oil pressure gauge. It's got aftermarket air fork in it. It had aftermarket shocks. He put a driving light on it. He put a fork brace on it. I mean, overall, it's all here. You know, he was very upfront with the fact of he didn't know if it would ever run. The throttle shafts are like seized, but I figured this might be a fun one for us. And Evan has expressed a desire to ride a motorcycle. I don't know if this is necessarily the right one for him, but you know, if we pass it down to him and it's from his grandpa, you know. We had to pull the calipers off the front because the pads were seized. They were actually seized in the caliper in the mount. So that was just so we could get it to roll to get it on here. We're gonna make an attempt to get this thing in the garage. But all the parts are here. I don't see why we couldn't put it back on the road and, you know, have a cool little get around. And honestly, you know, he gave it to me, but I'd like to see him ride it again, and he's expressed the desire to, you know, hey, could I take one last tool around the neighborhood on it? And absolutely, if I have anything to do with it, it'll be rideable. So let's get at it. My father-in-law, Gene, he cared about this bike, and he didn't just throw it in his garage and leave it. So he disconnected the fuel line on that side, and he kept, you know, stabilized fuel in here. We're not going to use that because inside this tank is rusted. I can't show you on the camera. But what we can do is this employs a fuel pump. If we can get this fuel line off of here, we can hook up the boat tank, and I think we can just try to run it. Like he said, that he always kept the cylinders lubricated. I watched him physically kick this thing over by hand. Actually, let's throw that Kickstarter in it. That's this thing. And that goes on the other side. So right in here, there's this little plug. You pull it out. And then this thing slides in there. And this is a Kickstarter. And then hopefully it's not in gear, but... And that's turning the engine over. You can feel the compression, but there's no abrupt stops. It's It's not doing anything funny. He converted this to electronic ignition. So I'm not sure why we couldn't just try to get it to run. So I think if we put fresh fuel to it, and we hooked up a battery, I mean, why wouldn't it work, Evan? How much water's in these? All of it. You know, I'd love to play the game with you guys where I make up a fantastical story about, oh, we're gonna clean the points, or we're gonna do all, we're not. I'm not gonna lie to you. If it has electronic ignition, it should have spark. You know, we can pull the plugs and we can check. I'm not gonna do all that. That'd be lying to you guys. We're not doing that. We're just gonna try to make it work. Because Evan wants to take her for a ripper. Evan, you're gonna be driving this thing. And all of a sudden, there's gonna be a fire like right underneath where your sack is.
Oh God.
And you're gonna be like, I'm on fire!
He's roasting on marshmallows.
You're not on fire, Ricky Bobby. This hooked up to a battery. Guys, if you're gonna jump a bike, don't jump it off a car that's running. Usually too much amperage available and you could fry things. But off a car battery, it should be okay. Now the oil light's on because there's no oil pressure. It is in neutral. And we want it in run here. Evan, see this? I'm gonna teach Evan as we go. A lot of guys are like, oh, my bike won't run because they hit their finger on this because nobody ever uses that. Now, if we hit this start button, in theory, it should turn over. I don't know if this connection is going to be good enough on these batteries, but let's... Nothing. I think we got to get a better connection. So we're just going to try it on the jump box and see if we can't get it to do something. I just pulled the choke. It's not pulling any gas. We might have to just bottle feed it. That's okay. The oil pressure light went off. It's building oil pressure. It's got no fuel. All right. We have a very sketchy, jankety fuel system going on here. That's a washer bottle, a valve leaking. Should be putting gas over here though. I'll get you guys over here close so in case it lights on fire you get to see the whole thing. Let's see if this thing will pump gas. We got the choke on. Doesn't seem to be taking any fuel at all. I wonder why. So, my father-in-law told me he always put Marvel Mystery Oil in these cylinders. So guess what? Every one of them looks like oil fouled. So we're gonna pull the plugs, clean them. We're gonna turn this over without the plugs in it and see if we can't blow some of that crap out of there. Called my father-in-law because he said, yeah, I installed electronic ignition in that. I said, is there any wires that have to be connected, you know, beyond what's already there? And he goes, I don't remember. It's a long time ago. We had this green wire sitting here. So in the manual, he says, hey, I think all the paperwork for the electronic ignition is in the manual. All right, can't hurt to go through it. So we found it. And it says the green wire that was hanging out here, which we thought went to his driving light. So I told him, I said, there's a red wire hanging out and there's a green wire hanging out. He goes, that's probably just for either the driving light or he put an aftermarket high-low beam. His factory one died. So lo and behold, you go in the manual for the electronic ignition and it says that the green wire has to go to ground, which we didn't know that. So I had Evan turn it over and I held the spark plug boot, you know, just so I'd get whacked, but it did have spark. It wasn't great spark, but spark nonetheless. So on the Goldwing, or the GL, right, this isn't a gas tank. This is actually just a side cover, see? So basically there's a knurled knob on the inside and then you open it up. It's electronics on one side.
Antifreeze on the other.
Antifreeze on the other. Good, Evan, good. Excellent. See, he pays attention. He pays attention sometimes. Every once in a while, you know, he gets the inkling to, Dad, I'm gonna pay attention. All right, now, Evan.
Yes, Father.
Let's try again, son. All right. So back up in case the light's on fire. Oh, it popped. I heard it.
I heard that.
I wish we had fuel.
That
did pop. I heard it.
I heard it.
We gotta get a battery for it, like a real battery for it. Running it off this cheap Harbor Freighter.
Make a video on that too.
Of this thing exploding.
Oh yeah.
Ready?
Yep.
Yeah. Choke it a little. It wants to go.
Oh, it's almost there.
I know. I just don't think it's getting any fuel. Let's turn some of the choke off. Well, there was a mouse house in there for sure.
It sprayed me.
Oh. Woo! All right.
Successful?
I mean, sorta, right? It
kicked.
ran.
It kicked.
It did run. Well, we know it runs. I really went at it with parts, meaning I started looking up parts, started putting parts in carts to order them, and then I'm like, this thing smokes pretty hard out of the right side. I'm not rebuilding this motor, regardless of what happens, and regardless of whether it's, you know, a family bike or not. I'm not doing that. It's not worth the money to do that. But that ring on that side may be stuck and it may free up. Maybe we can throw some Marvel in the oil, you know. So I'm willing to do some things that are cost effective, right? So I think right now we're gonna pull this entire rack of carburetors out of here. So basically, you're gonna loosen the boots. We're gonna take the air box out from the inside. We're gonna take the boots off on the other side. We're gonna pull the fuel hose here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna slide this entire rack of carburetors out this side. So we're gonna take these two intake runners off, and we should be able to set it out here and disconnect the cabling. You know, cleaning the carbs up, as long as nothing like falls apart too badly as far as like the you know, bowl gaskets and stuff, we can get them all off great. If not, I'll throw carb kits at it. That's 50 bucks. I'm not going to cry about it. We'll heat cycle it a few times. Maybe that ring pops loose and we're good to go. Maybe there was just a ton of Marvel in that cylinder and it really didn't burn off well. So that, and I'm afraid that that fuel pump is not working. I will definitely throw a fuel pump at it if we need to. So let's get after it. Throwing a time lapse. That was a pain in the ass. That was something, yeah. So anywho, we got coolant up here, which don't know why there's coolant. Well, this is literally all varnish. This one had no fuel in it. This one completely full of varnish. I guess they're all coming apart. We'll put them in the ultrasonic cleaner. I didn't want to take everything apart, but I guess we are. I actually looked further into this tank because I took the sending unit out. There's like no rust in there. I know you can't see in there. I think it was just the neck right here from the condensation. I wiped that out. The tank looks mint. So the kit that I ordered to coat the tank, I'm just going to send back because I'm not spending 50 bucks I don't need to spend. I got C-clamps on the calipers and they have not returned. Now, this master is depressed all the way in. You can buy a repop master that I've used on, I used them on like brats and bobbers and stuff, and they're like 20 bucks. Now, you know, are you going to get 100,000 miles out of them? I'm not really sure, but I think what we can do is, if we pop this loose and this thing returns fluid, we'll just get a master. So let's do that. If this returns the calipers, I want to get a lot of fluid back. I didn't get any fluid back. So yeah, there's no fluid coming back. We're gonna get rid of this altogether. We don't need this thing dripping brake fluid all over everything. So fun fact, I cracked the bolt, the banjo bolt loose, and the caliper went right in. So we got a hose that's completely collapsed. So hoses are cheap. Get a whole set of hoses for I think like 50 bucks. That's good news. Got fluid in that one. Alright. Oh, this one already kind of returned. Maybe it's the other one holding it up. Oh yeah, look at it, just going back. We're gonna have to deal with a little fan noise coming from the little fan. We'll time lapse a lot of this, but it is sweaty, sticky out today. So this is my hands, just from trying to take the intake runners off, and I took the bowl vents out, and just the plastic that covers the linkage in the old fuel line that we're going to replace. I think I'm going to take this whole thing, and I think I'm going to try to see if I can fit the whole thing in there. Oh yeah, all day boys, all day. And then we can kind of just hit it with a toothbrush. Let's go get some cleaner, fill this thing up. I did 3 gallons of whatever this stuff is. Totally awesome orange. So I'm technically only in a solvent for $3. And then I put 1 gallon of water. I just wanted it covered. There's a fill line. You don't want to go higher than the fill line. I'm assuming it's this part right here. So you don't want to overfill it. I got it plugged in. Let's turn it on and see what she does. Oh wow, yeah. Look at it. It's already pulling it out. Look at that. Look at that. Look at right there. Wow. All right. Oh, look at that. Interesting. Let's try it. Look at all the dirt. Wow, guys. Maybe the La Awesome plus the Vevor is the ticket. So this is the Vevor 30 liter. This thing is a big dog. It does have heat in it. Also, I put it on for, let's turn it off. Let's turn the time back up to 30 minutes. So I'm gonna let this heat up. I don't necessarily think I need to have it all the way up to 50 C. What is that, 130, 140 degrees, something like that. I'll have to do the, you know, the mathematicians on that. We are almost at the halfway mark. I didn't wait for it to heat up because ain't nobody got time for that. It's at 42 C, set for 50, so it's, you know, not even 15 minutes in. Let's take a look inside. It comes with this cover. Oh, it's warm. Yeah, so it's hot. It's getting warm in there. Oh, well, okay. Here's the problem. I don't know if this solvent's gonna eat the aluminum. We'll find out together. Oh, wow. That looks like dead new. Let's flip it over. Can we flip it over? Oh, wow. These are like brandy new. Okay. Try not to splash this stuff into my eyes. Oh, I can't bury it all the way in that. That's okay. We'll hit it with a brush there. But, I mean, overall, I mean, look at it. It's really working good, guys. Can you hear this thing, like, chugging away? Bzzz. Man, my wife would be jealous. This thing is buzzing away. Look at the bowls. Let's try to clean the bowls. These are really bad. Wow, that one's really bad. This one's got just goo in it. I'm not even gonna wipe these out. I'm just gonna throw them in. It came darkened, and it didn't get the, like, the hard, like rock hard stuff off the bottom, but I mean, that's pretty good. I didn't poke it with a screwdriver yet, but I'll scrape it because these need to be scraped. That definitely is not going to come off. Not bad though overall. Oh, that one did pretty good. A couple of these were really, really bad. Yeah, so we got to scrape the hard stuff off the bottom. This solvent is definitely going to darken aluminum. It did a really good job of this, but I think this is a larger piece, and that's why it didn't darken the body like it did the bowls. Like I said, we did the experiment. Take it for what it is. Maybe dilute it more. Maybe go 2 gallons and 2 gallons of water, or just go 1 gallon, 3 gallons of water. You guys can mix and match it, but it also started to take the paint off of these calipers. I don't necessarily care about that. I actually may throw them back in and take the remaining paint off of them. Actually, I'm going to do that, and we'll just clean them up, and maybe I'll just spray them again. Like the 9th gate of hell outside is so hot. And it's really humid, like really humid. Got the carbs all back together. I'll cut that time lapse up for you guys. Set the float height to 21 millimeter. That's what it said online. Not super definitive about, they're supposed to be standing up, and it's just supposed to be with them hanging and just touching. 21 millimeter, that's what it said. They were about there, so I'm gonna try to get the carbs back in, put some new fuel line in this thing, and I got a fuel bottle. We don't have to run it off the tank, and maybe we'll just see if it'll run at all. I got new plugs. Maybe I'll throw new plugs in while I'm at it. I got a battery for it, so we're making progress. Sweating is an understatement. All right, so here's the situation. I got the carbs back in. That is a nightmare. Whosever idea that was, it's a bad one. Put the sending unit back in. I'm gonna put some gas in it, and all the fuel lines are bad, and this thing had a fuel filter built into it. That's right there. Right there. I took that out, tried to blow through. It was like, and then poof, it kind of blew through. I don't trust it, so I just threw a cheapie in it for now. This is all 5/16 fuel hose. It really needs quarter. We can work that out later. I just want to make sure it's gonna run, and I'm concerned about the right cylinders on this thing on the right side, because when I brought it home, I originally did get it to pop and fire, and it smoked so bad out of that side. I was like, oh my god. So if it's got stuck rings or something like that, I mean, we're not going to go too far into it. All right, here we go. I bet it fires right back up. It doesn't have a muffler on one side. Consequently, it is smoking like a chimney again. I can't tell yet if that's fuel smoke or if that's... I think that's blue smoke. Not good. Let me let it run for a bit. See if we can burn some crap off because it hasn't run in forever. And we'll see how it is, and maybe we'll move on to brake. I grabbed the muffler that was laying on the floor that came with this because my father-in-law took it off because he was trying to get the brake off. It's just sitting on it. Like I just got it sitting there. Listen how quiet it is now. It revs better too. Temp's coming up. It does have coolant in the overflow. That's about how you fill this thing. It does have a It does have a water neck on the other side, but it's not overheating, and I know it has antifreeze in it because it does leak when I move that hose around. It actually, I think if I just got another pair of like these kind of universal mufflers for it, that sounds all right. It actually stopped smoking as bad. I mean, it's still smoking, but not as bad. I think there's moisture in these mufflers, and it's burning the moisture out because it's not really blue. Balding, pretty bad. Anyway, so I pulled all of the front brake hoses off, and all of the banjo fittings are completely plugged, and all the brake hoses, you can't blow through them either. I did put on this universal master cylinder because the other one is completely seized. I did run a new hose here to here because that banjo and this banjo under here was fine. So these are going to go in the ultrasonic cleaner, and we'll see if we can't clean these things up. We're making progress. I took the rear wheel off because I need to get this caliper blown apart, and I don't really see a good way to doing it besides taking it off. And what did I find? Oh, that's anti-seize. Get that off immediately. You'll have it everywhere, all in your clothes, your laundry, your wife, maybe the dog, I don't know. I put the brake pins in here while I was at it because it's actually working good. And this is the rear brake assemblies, right? So caliper, I took the master out. I'm gonna wipe all that out in there. This hose has to be collapsed because you cannot push fluid from the caliper squeezed back into the master. So I'm assuming this hose is probably collapsed inside just like the front ones were. The problem is I don't see that this hose is available. When you look at it, this looks like a car. This looks like a hose for actually like the shoebox or maybe like a F-Series truck. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look this up and see if I can find this. Maybe a Toyota Celica. If I can't find it, well, I have it made, but I mean, I don't want to do that. Holds up the whole build. All right, I got a mess. So I started to take the rear caliper apart, and I took the boot off it, and man, that's what we got. Maybe we should throw it in the ultrasonic cleaner. And this one too. I can't imagine I'm gonna hurt anything. There is a gasket there, but I did buy a rebuild kit, so I'm hoping it comes with it. Maybe we can peel it out. Oh yeah, I can get that out of there. I think I'm gonna pull the boots. Maybe or just soak them. Maybe I should soak them with something, and then we'll try to blast them out with some compressed air. Everything I'm touching takes forever. I wanted to have this video out like this past week, but man, this thing's kind of whooping me because I'm trying to make it, you know, halfway safe. I got tires and tubes coming, and it seems to run okay now. I got mufflers because I put some tape on that muffler, just some foil tape, just to see like what it would sound like, and these things are wasted and there's no way we're gonna ride with them. And even if I patched them up and scabbed them together, I got a set of mufflers that were like 40 bucks a piece. I mean, might as well just do it for that kind of money. I got the master cylinder on it, and the hose going down the distribution block, and then I got the new hoses going down. I still got to rebuild those calipers. I got new pistons and a kit for that. While the other stuff's cooking, I got new pistons for the calipers. I got a new caliper kit. I already put the seal in. I wasn't running the camera because, frankly, we're way behind. And I just threw some spray paint on it. Obviously, spray paint does not hold up to brake fluid, so if you spill it all over the place, you're not going to get anywhere with it. It's just going to leak. What I was always told was use brake fluid on the seals and in the bore to get your piston back in. That went nice and smooth in there. And we got the boot that goes around the outside. And then you got to pull it down over the body. And then put your ring on it. This is just a dust boot, guys. It's not sealing anything except the dust out. So you want to make sure it's flush all the way down, all the way around. And then this ring just holds the dust boot. Caliper pins look okay. So we're gonna use some of this ceramic brake lube and just kind of brush it on, and we'll get them back in with the new seals, and we can put this caliper back on. We are using the old pads. My father-in-law told me something about these pads being specific because they had cut grooves in them and they were supposed to do well in water, and he said he had a problem with the brakes because they did not do well when it rained. Not that I'm going to ride it in the rain. I think we're just going to buy new pads altogether, but for the sake of putting the video together and just maybe taking it around the block. It's got gears. What do you need brakes for? So anyway, we're doing that. Don't be a noob. The bleeders always go up. So if you're ever changing calipers and you pull everything off like a crazy glue sniffer because you're super excited to get your brakes done, remember, the brake bleeder always has to go up. Up. Okay? A little tip from your Uncle Dave. I'm here to help. I'm struggle bussing over here, and not a single one of you, not one of you said anything. And you watched me put that piston in upside down. So I had to take it all back apart, and I'm like, man, that'd be a lot of fluid on the inside. Yeah, I put it together wrong. We fixed it. I gotta put it back on the bike. I'm gonna do the other one. You guys don't need to watch that. Then we'll move on to the rear, and I'm gonna show you a hack for the rear if you have one of these bikes. Kind of stuck here. I've been beating on this caliper every which way for hours and hours and hours. This caliper, I cannot get either piston out, to the point of I had it apart, I put it together, I put it in the vise. I didn't want to just destroy the pistons, but that's what's happening. I actually hooked it up back to the master cylinder with this line. So this is the little, if you guys got a Goldwing, this line is not available, the rubber line. What you use is a Ford Courier, like a 7781 I think it is, or a Mazda B-Series pickup of the same vintage. The hose is just a little bit longer, but everything lines up, everything screws together. I promise that's what you need, and they're only like $9. I'll throw the part number and the link in the description for you guys if you're a Goldwing guy and you can't find this hose, because the only things available is like stuff from Germany. It's like $180. Like I think I paid $9 for this hose. But anyway, I tried pumping it up with the master cylinder, using the pressure to push them out. I'm screwed. At this point, I don't even know what to do. I think I'm gonna have to get a caliper. It's another day. And actually, I got these apart. I got the pistons out of them, so I just got to throw the rebuild kit in it. Pistons got really banged up on the outside. That really shouldn't affect it because the actual mating surface, I mean, there's a little bit of pitting, but it's not absolutely terrible. It should seal fine, and hopefully everything goes back together. This was like a major catastrophe because without that rear caliper, we're kind of screwed. But anyway, got it all apart, used like 175 pounds of air pressure, plus soaked them all night and started twisting them back and forth with a pipe wrench. And I finally got one to kind of budge, and then I actually shot it into the ceiling, which was nice, but it did come out. I should have got that on video, but I didn't. So anyway, we're going to rebuild these. And then the next dilemma is I got tires, but I don't know if I'm going to have time to put them on. We might just kind of rip it for now, like the way it is. And we'll put the tires on some other time. All right, rear caliper is all back together. I got that hose from that Ford Courier on it. I put the master back in. I put the pads in it. Hopefully it works. We got to bleed them still. But I got to grease this axle. My father-in-law told me, you better grease that axle before you put it back in. That thing will seize up on you. I'm like, really? Well, okay, I'll do what you tell me. So what we got here is we're going to try this stuff. It's called AIM Extreme Duty Grease. My buddy over at Troy's Garage is a YouTube channel. Go check it out. Troy's super cool. We talk back and forth on like Instagram and on posts and stuff. He does a lot of cool old stuff, general repairs. He does like, you know, paint mods, hack. I mean, the guy does it all. So check out Troy's channel. I'm not sponsored by AIM or anything like that. Troy just sent it as like a care package, but this stuff says non-toxic, non-hazardous, but don't ingest it. The greatest, safest, hardest working grease on the planet. Good for tools, machines, and the planet. It says simple, safe, and tough on wear and corrosion, scientifically formulated for machinists, mechanics, and craftspeople. It goes on and on about what it is and how safe it is. prevents rust, moving parts, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, that's stuff we're gonna try. And I'll let you know if it's any good. And if you want some of it, you gotta get it from Troy, because I don't know where he gets it from. So if you want this stuff, hit up Troy at Troy's Garage. All right, this thing lifts in there pretty easy. Getting the caliper back in, probably gonna be a pain, maybe, I don't know. Spread, you gotta spread your business. Get that on there. You gotta spread your Lord business on there. You're right. I got a mallet for just such an occasion. Oh yeah, see? Way better. Not water hitting something over here. Probably gotta lift. You gotta pick it up. Stop being a baby. Use your baby hands. The caliper does caliper things. It's got another bolt that goes in there. Lord knows where it went. Then we gotta fix the exhaust. All right, to bleed these, I just threw this vacuum bleeder on here and I let it sit for a little bit. And then I pumped and then cracked it with the vacuum bleeder so it pulled it in. That way we're not spilling brake fluid all over the place. I'm gonna do the front too. It's really loud, so I don't want to have you guys sit through that. But it's basically the same thing, you know, squeeze it out, crack it, squeeze it out, crack it. It's kind of like a car. You can actually do them reverse with a syringe and push it up through, but let's just get these brakes buttoned up, see if we can't put this thing back together. I mean, fix the exhaust and maybe go for a rip. It's early. Doing stuff that's quiet because Jess is still sleeping, so are the kids. Trying to put this back together. I spent over an hour just kind of trying to figure out like what bolts go where, because I basically had a coffee can. Figured out which side each blinker was. I'm looking at the wiring schematic to hook up the tail light and the brake. Here's a heads up. These mufflers actually clear. That's not the right way that they're supposed to be on. They really do need to be jogged out, and then this muffler would be turned and then the bracket would be on the inside. But maybe for a test ride we could just mount them up like that for now. That way we could at least have an exhaust on it. I'll take this one off and I'll put the other one on this side. Hopefully it fits. I bled the brakes. The front, not great. I don't know if that thing's piston's big enough to push 2 calipers maybe. I don't know, we'll have to see. It's firm, it's just, you got a lot of pullback on it, and I feel like I could squeeze through it. So that's never good on a motorcycle. Guys, I understand these tires aren't good, and I suggest you do not ever do that. If you find a bike and you're gonna work on it, and you should, it's fun, and they're cheap. You can buy these things for like a couple $100, and you got a nice little scoot to get around in the summer, hang out with your boys. Don't ride on dry cracked tires. That's super unsafe. We're gonna just like go around the block on it, and I have tires. I don't have the front tire yet, so I have the rear and I have a tube, but we're not gonna have time to do that, so we're gonna push through. But just for safety's sake, guys, don't ride on cracked tires, especially on a motorcycle. All right, you guys watch, and they tell me. I had to do it with my meter because there's no other way to do it. It's honestly a couple wires. It's not that difficult. So when you turn this on, the taillight should come on. I think that's on, yeah. And then brakes. Yup. I wonder if the back brake one does. And then the blinkers aren't going to blink, obviously, because it's not running, but yup, that's correct. And then right. Yup, okay, so we got that all sorted, guys. And then maybe we can finally drive this thing. Honestly, guys, I've been working on this thing on and off for like 2 weeks. I didn't get you guys a main channel video last week. I think we did the ultrasonic cleaner, or I don't know what we did. But I'm excited to bring this thing out and like try it. Like I said, if you're doing this, please make sure your safety precautions, make sure your brakes work, make sure your lights work, make sure your tires aren't all checked and cracked like these are. And like I said, we're just gonna zip it around the block and see how she goes. Well, I got it on, but the center stand is definitely hitting the pipe. We're gonna clearance the muffler. Make a big enough dent in it. Then we can see a mark. Can we do it with this thing? Probably. There, clearance. See how that goes. It's adjusting. You guys gotta just learn to move with it. I'm glad I didn't pay a lot of money for these. Clearancing, clearancing. No, that's hitting the stop now. Now that's not hitting the pipe. So we're good. All clearanced up. Sometimes you just gotta adjust it. They're cheap. Don't cry. Stop. I just put the adapter in. I didn't weld the thing yet. Let's just see if we can maybe take it for a little zip around the block and wash it up. It looks like it's going to rain, and we're racing against the clock, as always, on the weekends in Connecticut. A little bit of exhaust leak coming out that way. I'm not too concerned about it. Bike is loud. The bike... Hold on, I'm going to put you guys over here. Man, this place is a mess. This thing's loud. Like, these mufflers are pretty throaty. We're going to change spark plugs, throw the seat on it, and air up what's left of these tires, and roll this hog out. A quick wash. Obviously not a detailed wash, but just a little, get the dust off it, you know? Do the best you can, get the dust off. You know, the chrome needs to be polished up, and everything needs to be waxed. But overall, it's a pretty bike. Cleaned up real nice. Let's go ride it. Yeah, brakes are not good. Turn the gas on. Straighten you guys out. See how it stops. Oh yeah, we can stop it. That's a pretty big hill. Blinkers. Well guys, we made it back from our maiden voyage. Overall, bike runs actually really good. It's got a little bit of decel pop because of the exhaust, I believe. Probably could use a little bit more on the idle circuit. It cleans up when it warms up, it revs nice. Front brakes, not great. This master cylinder is a universal master cylinder. I don't believe the piston's large enough, and I don't think it pushes enough fluid. I mean, if you strangle it, it'll stop the bike, but ultimately I think I'm just gonna get a new replacement master, even if I gotta get a used one that's freed up and we'll rebuild it. The back brakes work surprisingly well, and we do have tires and tubes coming for this. I do have one rear tire. The front tire never showed up, guys, so you know, we can't do a tire change for you in this video, but overall, it's a good running bike. Well, that's gonna do it for this episode of Mad Ginger Customs. Thanks for coming along on this journey. I'd like to thank my father-in-law for providing this wonderful chariot. And if you guys are like, man, I'd love to grab a scoot for the summer, you can pick up bikes like this for a few $100s on Facebook Marketplace. Put a couple bucks into them, a little sweat equity, and you got a nice ride for the summer. So do the normal stuff, like, subscribe, share the video if you could. Hit those Amazon links in the description, that helps us out. You know, you don't have to buy what's in the link, you can just buy anything as long as you get there with our link. We got a buy us a coffee link if you like the content. You guys like motorcycle videos? We could do more of them. Throw it in the comments. Motorcycle's your thing? Would you watch more of this? And just remember guys, you watch me do all this. And if I can do it, you can do it. Thanks for watching.